In our previous video, we saw about the factors affecting the thermal analysis results. And these factors were the sample, the crucible, and the rate of heating. The fourth factor that we are going to see in this video is the atmosphere. The transfer of heat and the chemistry of the sample reaction will depend greatly upon the atmosphere surrounding the sample and its product. Even if there is no reaction between the sample and the temperature, the heat transfer by the gas will affect the result. Consider the four gases which are commonly used in the thermal methods. Let us see gas at 1 atmosphere pressure on one side, and on the other side we will see the thermal conductivity at 373 Kelvin. So first gas is helium, second one is nitrogen, third is air, and the fourth one is carbon dioxide. So helium, its thermal conductivity at 373 Kelvin is 17.77. The second gas which can be used very commonly to create the atmosphere in thermal analysis method is nitrogen gas, and its thermal conductivity is 3.09. The fourth atmosphere is air, and it is having the thermal conductivity of 3.17, and the fourth one is CO2, and it is having the thermal conductivity of 2.23 into 10 raised to minus 2 joules per SMK. These are the four different gases which are used for the atmosphere, and these are the thermal conductivities of these gases. From this table it is clear that the heat transfer by conduction through helium will be nearly 8 times greater than that of carbon dioxide. So, when the reaction occurs, the nature of the thermal event will change completely. For example, if a metal is stable in the helium atmosphere, it does not stable in the air atmosphere. The metal could get oxidized in air atmosphere. When a chemical equilibrium exists, for example, between calcium carbonate, calcium oxide, and carbon dioxide, if you study the decomposition of calcium carbonate decomposes to give calcium oxide and CO2 gas. So, when a chemical equilibrium exists between this calcium carbonate, calcium oxide, and carbon dioxide, then according to Le-Chatelier's principle, presence of large concentration of the product, if the concentration of product becomes large, the equilibrium shifts backward. So you get the backward reaction over there. For example, if we study the thermal decomposition of calcium carbonate at different atmospheres, that Tg curve can be shown like this. On the y-axis, it is the amount of the substance in milligrams, and on the x-axis, the temperature of decomposition. Temperature is plotted. The decomposition of calcium carbonate, it can be shown at different atmospheres. For example, the fraction of the weight remains. This is curve number 1. The curve number 2 will be obtained. This is curve number 2, curve number 3, curve number 4, curve number 5, and curve number 6. So these are the different types of curves we will obtain in the study of thermogravimetric analysis of decomposition of calcium carbonate. The first curve is the decomposition of calcium carbonate at 1 atmospheric nitrogen pressure. Second, third, fourth and fifth, these curves, they are obtained in the decomposition of calcium carbonate in presence of calcium carbonate and nitrogen. For example, the second curve, it is obtained at 0.1 atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide. The third one obtains at 0.3 atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide. The fourth one is at 0.5 atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide, and the fifth one is at 0.7 atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide. The sixth curve, it is obtained at 1 atmospheric pressure of carbon dioxide. So the curve number 2, 3, 4 and 5, here the combination of carbon dioxide and nitrogen is taking place. And from the study, you can clearly conclude that although calcium carbonate starts decomposing below 700 degrees Celsius in air containing little carbon dioxide, in CO2 atmosphere at 1 atmospheric pressure, the decomposition does not occur until and over 900 degrees Celsius. So the effect of carbon dioxide atmosphere is that it increases the decomposition temperature of carbon dioxide. Because of the presence of carbon dioxide, the decomposition equilibrium shifts towards the left hand side, and therefore it takes much more temperature to decompose the calcium carbonate, and we see this in this graph. Sometimes the sample produces its own generated atmosphere. This can affect the equilibrium, the kinetics and the heat transfer of the experiment. We should also consider the flow rate of the gas. A static atmosphere will not sweep away the reaction product from the sample, or it acts as a heat transfer agent. But in case of dynamic atmosphere, the evolved gases, they get swept away from the reaction product. The fifth factor which affect the thermal analysis result is the mass of the sample. The physical properties, size, and the packing or density will alter the result obtained. If very small samples are used, perhaps less than 1 microgram, then the signal produced will be very small, and in certain cases each crystal may react at different times, producing multiple peaks. So if you take less sample, it is possible that you will get the multiple peaks. And this is due to certain cases the crystals react at different times, producing the multiple peaks. If you take very large sample, then in case of large sample, it will produce much greater effect. But in case of large sample, though it is producing greater effect, several changes which occurs, they may not get fully resolved. So no full resolution occurs. So sample size should not be less, sample size should not be too high. When we wish to analyze mixtures in which small amounts of one component need to be detected, for example, coating on the filler used in a plastic formulation, then in that case, very large samples may be required. Comparison of the thermal analysis curves should be done only when comparable sample masses are used. So one cannot compare the two thermal analysis curves in which in one case large sample is used and in other case small amount of sample is used. If you want to compare the thermal analysis curves, then the sample masses are also should be comparable. These parameters are important for any thermal analysis experiment, and for particular methods, other details may also be needed. Now these are the different factors on which the result of the thermal analysis method depends. And to remember the 5 most important parameters, the acronym SCRAM, S-C-R-A-M, the acronym SCRAM may be helpful. SCRAM, that is sample, C, that is crucible, third one, the rate of the heating, A, that is atmosphere, and N is the mass. So this is what mean by SCRAM. So this acronym, it is helpful to remember the factors which are affecting the thermal analysis results. The next point that we are going to see in this topic is simultaneous and complementary technique. A single thermal method does not always give sufficient information to allow the analyst to be sure what is occurring. For example, a downward peak produced by the DTA experiment means that an endothermic event is occurring over this temperature range. But that does not tell you whether this is a chemical reaction or a physical change such as melting, or whether any gases are evolved. So the downward peak produced by the DT experiment does not give this information. A TG experiment on the same sample may show a mass loss over this temperature range, thereby ruling out the possibility of melting, but still not identifying any volatiles. Conversely, if the TG curve showed no mass loss, the process of melting could be confirmed by direct observation of the sample. You can see the sample directly whether it is melt or not. So the melting of the sample is confirmed by direct observation of the sample. It is clear that combining several analytical methods give a better profile of the changes taking place. Although we may have to sacrifice the optimum conditions for each separate technique. If the two techniques are performed on different samples or at very different times, then the methods are referred as complementary methods. For example, if a DTA experiment is done on one sample of the polymer and a TG experiment is done on the second sample of the same polymer. That means sample is same, but we have two samples of the same material and one sample is analyzed by DTA techniques and the other sample is analyzed by TG experiment. Then the techniques are said to be complementary to each other. Such a scheme might also involve in thermogravimetric experiment from which the solid product is then removed and it is used to produce an X-ray diffraction pattern. So in that case, the thermogravimetric analysis method and the X-ray diffraction techniques, these are the complementary techniques of each other. If the two techniques are performed on the single sample at the same time, then they are called as simultaneous technique. For example, if the thermogravimetric analysis and differential thermal analysis, these two techniques are used for the same sample, then TGA and DTA, they are called as simultaneous technique. Since a hyphen is often used to separate the abbreviation, in this case TG and DTA, these two techniques will be called as simultaneous technique, or they are also called as hyphenated technique. An apparatus which allows a combination of differential scanning calorimetry DSC and simultaneous sample observation if you are doing by using a microscope, then such technique are called as simultaneous technique and they can be denoted as DSC hyphen and thermooptimetry. Simultaneous techniques are to be preferred since different samples and different conditions may alter the thermal analysis curve. However, optimum conditions may be very different for the two methods. For example, if you are performing the DTA experiment, the highest sensitivity of the DTA experiment is attained at high heating rates. But if you are performing simultaneously TG, then the best resolution is attained at low heating rates. So, in case of simultaneous techniques, the different techniques will have different experimental conditions. Every analytical method has been employed as a complementary technique to the thermal method. For example, gases evolved during a reaction have been separated by gas chromatography. They will be dissolved and titrated. They can be measured electrochemically and spectroscopically, particularly by infrared spectroscopy or mass spectroscopy. Solid products have been analyzed for their surface area and the catalytic activity and by every sort of compositional analysis method. It must be stressed as firmly as possible that these additional analysis and experiments are vital, they are important to a full understanding of the result obtained by the thermal analysis. So we have to use the thermal analysis method along with some other methods also to get more and more information of our sample under study. This much is the part of our first chapter. In our next video, we will start with the second chapter. Thank you.